I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I hear the argument, and I'm not completely writing it off, but this stuff happens in California a lot. Unfortunately, I was driving around yesterday, or not yesterday, but maybe like a week ago. Me and my wife were driving around. And if you drive around California, if you just look around, there's a lot of really dry, dead, like just forest all around. And they could easily clear this stuff up and, do like controlled burns and stuff like that, but they choose not to for whatever reason. So this is inevitable. These things are going to happen. But this one has been pretty wild and pretty crazy. And a lot of people are paying attention. Now, there was a video that popped up, multiple videos that popped up on TikTok. What is playing right now? Oh, that one. Okay. Multiple videos popped up on TikTok. There's one video talking about how they lost water, so they no longer have water, which is wild. Let me play this video right here.
But their hands have been tied, and they can't fight a fire without water and the resources that are needed. Everybody knew these winds were coming. The other question has to be, were all the things in place to try to, again, mitigate the damage here? But the real issue to me is twofold. We've had decades to go remove the brush in these hills that spread so quickly. And the second is, you got to have water. And my understanding is the reservoir was not refilled in time and in a timely manner to keep the hydrants going. So that's a failure, whether on DWP's part or another city agency. But this is basic stuff. This isn't high science here. And it's all about leadership and management that we're seeing a failure of. And all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
That was going to be my next question, is why isn't there water in the fire hydrants? That doesn't make any sense.
You're right. That's a good question. And I think you should start asking, why don't you call the mayor who's out of the country and ask her and get an answer from her?
Well, they say she's on her way back, and that would be a great question to ask her tomorrow if she's at this briefing at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I think there's a lot of people that are outraged by that fact tonight when they look at scenes like this, at businesses that people have worked really, really, really hard to build, and homes that people's entire livelihoods are going up in flames tonight.
So there's no water in the fire hydrants.
But their hands have been...
There's no water in the fire hydrants. On top of that, people have began to start looting, which you could expect, especially what I just showed you. These are between $3 and $40 million homes. And people are starting to loot.
Defense 2, go ahead. I could use some more resources up here at Pinecrest. I need 80 because I do have trying to break into homes up here. 14. Copy that. Can you go ahead and give me a rundown of your resources?
So, you have people literally in the middle of losing their homes, families being displaced, a lot of uncertainty, and people are running up in there and looting and taking everything they can take. It's not surprising, unfortunately. That's the world that we live in. I'm still very confused as to why the fire hydrants ran out of water. Because like I said, I've lived in California my entire life. I've been through multiple seasons and multiple periods of having to evacuate, having to leave. Like, it happens very often. It comes with the territory. When you live in California, it's kind of like when you live in Florida. Like, hurricanes are going to be a thing. That's just what it is. And that's why a lot of people were having problems in California with insurance. There was a huge thing with insurance in California. A lot of these major insurers, they didn't want to insure any homes in California, especially, from the fact that real estate in California is so expensive. On top of that, you have this increased risk to these wildfires. So it's like if these houses burn down, the insurance companies have to come out of pocket in a insane amount of money. And you already know insurance companies don't want to pay no money. So a lot of these companies were saying, you know what, we're going to pull out of California because it's not profitable for our business from an insurance company standpoint.
I don't think anyone outside of LA truly understands just how insane this whole fire situation has been today. So let me just paint a picture. Like 10 different fires broke out today, including what I consider to be relatively weird areas like around downtown LA and West Hollywood. The worst of which, the Palisades fire, was originally 1 acre, as all things start, got to 10 acres. Then there was an announcement that came with it that was like, it's going to explode to 200 acres in 20 minutes. And I was like, well, that's insane. That's insane. It did just that. And then within an hour or maybe two, it was at 1,000 acres already. It is now, based on the last update that we've received, 3,000 acres. It started picking up so fast that people were leaving their cars as they were trying to drive out, but they were gridlocked. And then the LAFD had to bulldoze their cars out of the way. And then on the polar opposite side of the county in Pasadena, another fire has broken out. It is 400 acres. As it was filmed.
So people are evacuating. And a lot of these areas are like in the hills. So it's windy roads in the hills. It's a lot of congestion, a lot of traffic. And the fire is expanding so quickly that they're just leaving their cars on the street and dipping and quite literally running for their life. The fire department had to come in with bulldozers and move these cars, rows and rows of cars. You know that movie? What was that movie that Obama produced on Netflix? When it's like the grid goes down and it's like all those Teslas are just on the street, just broke down. It literally looked like that. It's crazy.
This, I got a notification that another fire has broken out in Pasadena. But the winds are so bad that aircrafts can't fly properly. I also feel like it's worth mentioning that personnel from the Pasadena Fire Department were in the Palisades fighting that fire earlier today. And the winds are supposed to get their worst between 12 a.m. and like sometime in the morning, like 8 or something. And this is all in the span of less than 12 hours. Everyone I know in the area is like, I actually have no idea what to do because a fire could break out in my area. I just have no idea. So do I like wait and see if like things are going to get insane? Or do you like leave prematurely, not really knowing where you're going to go anyways? Like, yes,
So here's the thing. And here's the risk, because this is like an hour away from my house. Here's the risk. The fire departments in California, there was a decrease in their funding. So they were defunded tens of millions of dollars. What typically happens is when you have situations like this, other neighboring fire departments, they go and help. So you have fire departments, let's say from, my community, San Diego, you have fire departments who are potentially going to assist to help up north. But the issue is this fire could easily, with these winds, because the winds are crazy right now, these fires could easily jump hundreds of miles in whatever direction. So things could get out of hand. Things could get crazy. It could. It could. It definitely could. And on top of that, we ain't got no water. We ain't got no water. And on top of that, Gavin Newsom, I almost called him Gavin Newscum because that's what Trump always be calling him. Gavin Newsom is on TikTok posting videos like this with the fire in the background, talking about, I'm on the scene, I'm taking care of it. Like, bruh, you couldn't have had some water in the reserves, knowing that we were going into a windy season, knowing that this is typically when fires start to happen, when you have this dryness mixed with these high winds. You couldn't at least have some water in the tank. And there's speculation that he's going to be running for president in the next cycle. And the Democrats are probably going to blindly get behind Gavin Newsom. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense.
California is known for its wildfires, but I was born here. I have lived here forever. This is not normal. This is not normal. And with said abnormal conditions, it's very important to me that we place unique importance on the way that this is going to affect disabled people in LA and houseless people in LA. Things like public safety blackouts, like limited physical routes through which you can travel. Even an evacuation order in and of itself can be a death sentence for a disabled person. And then for houseless folks, like the one time that I was evacuated when I was like 7 years old, the fire department bangs on your door for you to get out. What if there is no door? And like, yes, they do send like text notifications and stuff nowadays, but like in a very car dependent city that could not care less about public transit or its houseless population altogether, I worry about their ability to even evacuate or get out of harm's way if a fire were to get so close to them as to cause severe threat to their ability to move, their ability to live also, because the air quality is going to be horrible. Being forced to breathe in those fumes is also a death sentence. There are luckily a lot of organizations that are doing like on the ground mutual aid work, and I highly recommend that everyone donates to at least one of them, but I cannot stress this enough. You cannot donate your way out of a climate catastrophe. We need to be really taking in and sitting with the conditions that we've accepted as normal, and we need to adjust our actions accordingly. Like maybe no, I don't need to look everything up on ChatGPT because that takes substantially more energy. And maybe I do need to be doing more to support like the rights of Palestinian people to not be bombed to smithereens nonstop, because spoiler alert, that also does horribly affect the environment. Normal working class people of the world share one destiny. I just hope that it will be a good one.
Okay, she took that political. Listen, I heard somebody say something. I think Elliot was saying something. You know, I don't want to sound insensitive, because, you know, people are hurting, you know, people are losing their homes, losing their businesses. It's a terrible time for a lot of people. But, you know, we do understand that things are going to get worse. Especially in these times, things are going to get worse. You know, I pray that everyone comes to repentance. I pray that everybody comes to know the Lord, and stop trying to, you know, cling on to this world that is so clearly passing away, as the scriptures tell us is so. So hopefully y'all understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be like insensitive or nothing like that. Because that fire, like I said, I'm like an hour away. That fire could easily be in my backyard like tonight. So I'm not trying to be insensitive, but if that were to happen, if that were the case, you know, we stand on a firm foundation. And that's my prayer, that, you know, we all stand on the firm foundation, which is Jesus Christ. Because this world is passing away and things are getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And it's not going to slow up. It's not. It's not.